And we have more breaking update coming in. Strait of Hormuz is still blocked. Several vessels are stuck. Let's get you the latest on that. A day after United States President Donald Trump said that hopefully China, France, Japan and South Korea, UK as well, could deploy warship to Strait of Hormuz to ensure that it remains open to the global shipping. Now we have a reaction coming in from the UK Prime Minister. Keir Starmer has said that he discussed the need to reopen the Strait of Hormuz during the talks with Donald Trump, warning that the closure is disrupting the global shipping. According to him, in fact, he also held discussions with Mark Carney on the wider impact of the situation that it could have on the international shipping as well. So on that, in fact, we're learning that he held the conversation with Donald Trump. On that, let me go across to my colleague Srinjoy. Srinjoy, yesterday appeal was made by Donald Trump to China, France, Japan, South Korea and UK, asking them to deploy their warship to the Strait of Hormuz that is still blocked, saying that it should be a joint effort. What have these countries said so far on that?
Well, China, to start with, may not have a problem because the Chinese ships have been allowed to move by the Iranians. So the Chinese, in any case, have been supporting Iran in some way or the other. And a lot of Iranian oil goes to China. But if the Iranians are allowing the Chinese and their ships to go through the Straits of Hormuz, there is little likelihood of the Chinese saying, yeah, we will send our ships, our warships to the Straits of Hormuz to ensure safe passage for everybody. In any case, the Chinese and the Russians have good ties with Iran, and that's something that is very well known. Though, when this issue came up, when one of the came up in the UN Security Council, the Russians and the Chinese both abstained. They did not vote against the motion, nor did they veto it. And both Russia and China have veto powers. So at this point, the Americans had said initially that they would push their warships into the Straits of Hormuz to escort ships, but that hasn't really happened as yet. The straits are still closed, and it's not an easy thing because the straits are very narrow, and tankers and warships can be very susceptible to either drone attacks or missile attacks. And at one point, there was some talk from the Americans of securing the coast. But that has just been talk so far, though we heard that 2,500 Marines were also going to be coming.
Absolutely, and that is why now Donald Trump has sought the help from China, France, Japan, South Korea and UK. It remains to be seen whether these countries will be sending the warships or not. But at that time when the appeal has been made, in fact, we have a breaking update coming in. Srinjoy, stay on with us. Another warning that has been given by Donald Trump. He has warned that NATO allies could face a very bad future if member countries do not support efforts to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Donald Trump has said that the countries that benefit from the vital oil shipping route should ensure that it remains open, and this warning comes as the waterway has been disrupted during the ongoing conflict involving US-Iran, raising concern about the global energy supplies. And at that point now, Donald Trump has said and warned that NATO allies, his own allies, could face a very bad future if they do not support his efforts to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Have a look.
We are talking to other countries about working with us on the policing of the strait, and I think we're getting good response. If we do, that's great, and if we don't, that's great too. But remember, like as an example, in many cases, the NATO countries, we're always there for NATO. We're helping them with Ukraine. As many, it's got an ocean in between us. It doesn't affect us, but we've helped them. It'd be interesting to see what country wouldn't help us with a very small endeavor, which is just keeping the strait open. And by comparison, it's small because Iran has very little firepower left. They're missiles are down to a low number. You see they're shooting very few of them. You know why? Because they don't have very many of them. And because we've decimated their manufacturing capability. Likewise, the drones are way down.
Well, Strait of Hormuz continues to be blocked, and in that backdrop, Donald Trump has said that the other countries should take greater responsibility for securing the Strait of Hormuz, noting that the U.S. has projected the key shipping route. They have protected it for years. Donald Trump also claimed that Iran has been significantly weakened and suggested that nations dependent on the Strait of Hormuz should now step in. Remember, he said it yesterday as well, that it should be a joint effort to make sure that the passage, that is Strait of Hormuz, completely remains safe. US President Donald Trump also took a swipe at the allies, saying that some support came too late, adding that US will always remember who stood by it before the conflict. Have a look.
Just remember that it's something that we don't need and these countries do need. And yet for years, it's like for years we've been maintaining it, doing a great job. And now that the war is, now that they've been diminished in terms of military, their military has been greatly diminished. I think it's a good thing for other countries to come in. Now, it would have been nice, as I said to the Prime Minister of the UK, who sort of was reluctant to put his 2 aircraft carriers.
As Strait of Hormuz is concerned, Donald Trump made the appeal to China, France, Japan, South Korea and UK. So it remains to be seen whether these countries will come out in help of the United States as far as the war is concerned. With this, a very short break. More news and updates on the other side.